right, Zach. What's happening, man?
Nothing, man. How are you, man? Thanks for doing
Very well.
it.
My pleasure.
So, you were cool with this is recording, just so you know. Just wanted to let
All
you.
good.
That's all good. All right, man.
Absolutely.
So, are you in Boston right now, or do you
No,
live?
I'm outside of Montreal. I live. I've been up here for like 25 years or so. A long time.
Okay, that's what I was confused. I knew you grew up in Boston, right? You're originally
That's true.
from Boston, and how's Montreal right now with everything going on? And what's your situation like?
It's in a near lockdown at this point. Yeah, I mean it's neighborhood. You know, I go out with the kids and we ride bikes and try to keep somewhat semblance of healthy. It's actually a good. I mean, in that regard, that's the one thing that I can say has been quite beneficial. Two things actually. One is the fact of just getting to go out and go ride a bike and drag the kids along with me and try to get the heart pumping and instead of sitting around. The other side of it is I get to spend a lot of time with my kids. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, so it's the same situation here as it is in Canada. Then everything's all kind of lockdown. But what's been cool is a lot of musicians I know and even people that aren't into working out, like you said, have been working out. But a lot of people are getting creative just out of the there's nothing else to do. They're just starting
Totally.
to make music. And have you been doing anything like along those lines? Been artistically?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just I just did the Gimme Radio thing. I was a guest DJ for that, so that was that took a while to sort of get together. It was the first time I did that. That was a huge piece, really. That was quite awesome. So I did that. I've been writing. I've been recording. I have. I got a couple of projects outside of the Akurion project, but I have one of the projects that it's. Right now, it's still a bit under wraps. Just started recording one of the tracks. We got 5 tracks right now, so just doing pre-prod really right now.
Oh yeah, man!
Can't wait to hear it. Yeah, man, writing, and I'm putting together a bit of a book piece that I'm doing, and so yeah, trying to keep busy. I'm not floundering in front of the TV. Netflix is my TV's on rarely anyways. But
Right.
but I would say, I mean, at this point, I'm probably at an all-time high. I'm probably watching, an hour and a half of TV a day.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, fuck it. I can't do it, dude.
Yeah.
Unless it's hockey. If the Bruins are on, I'll watch.
There you go.
Aside from that, not much. Yeah. Not watching much.
Eat your soul, man. I know, but I wouldn't expect you to be laying around, man. For those who don't know, I mean, you've been at this a while. You have a million projects going on all the time. So, what keeps you going, man? What is it about death metal and the music you like that keeps your passion lit for, you've been through a lot with all this. And as I said in my review, is this Akurion record is like the most heartfelt, legitimate, emotional stuff that plunged into this. And, it's something that you would expect out of like a new band to write or like a young band or whatever, but you're a veteran and you're coming out with still more of the most heartfelt shit ever, with no disrespect to your old stuff or anything like that at all, but I just want to know what does it for you, man. Like,
I appreciate that, Zach.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's just love of music, love of I mean, not just metal, but all many types of music. Very open to lots of different genres of music, and but metal just has always been that one form that when I was growing up, it was despised. Most people I knew, we were considered the scumbags of of the school, scumbags of the city, and and it was just music, man. It was not fucking. We weren't causing. I mean, we were causing some trouble, but not causing like tons of trouble. Not hurting anyone. So I mean, for us, it was always like. I can safely say that I definitely gravitated towards that style of music at an early age. Whether it was just metal, it was hard rock, led to more Black Sabbath kind of AC/DC kind of fringe metal
Right.
stuff, and then it just became it was Iron Maiden, it became Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and then it shot up from there. Early on, I was listening to Bathory SOD and Venom and
Sweet.
stuff like that. So I mean, it took off, and when it took off fucking strong.
Yeah, it did.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I was out. Let's say I get $100 for my birthday or something, and I'd go out and buy. At that time, you could buy 10 cassettes because we didn't have CDs at that point.
Right.
I'm aging myself.
No, not at all. Hey, they're coming back now. You're with the trends,
Yeah, well, thank you. But no doubt, man. I still have a huge collection of music.
Cool, man.
Ranging from I've got 600-700 vinyl and 2,000 plus CDs, and I sold a bunch of cassettes, but I still have a shitload of those as well. So I mean, MP3s. I mean, it's just ridiculous how many I have of those.
Right.
And it's just something that I'm always seeking out. I'm always looking for new bands. I'm always looking for old bands. Old stuff that I might have missed along the way. So I try to keep up with both old and new stuff, and I just love it. It's something. It's a passion, like you said. It's a passion that's deep rooted, and I don't have any desire or need to not do it. In fact, it pushes me. It propels me forward. This insatiable need to find music and listen to music and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely.
Fuck yeah, man. That's awesome. I think the best shit comes from fans. So like you're a fan yourself, and it's obvious that you're into progressive music and all kinds of different kinds, and that's very obvious that shows. Are you listening to new stuff now? Like in the quarantine situation, are you finding new things to listen to keep you occupied? Now's a cool time to be digging into some stuff and some oldies things too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, for sure. I mean, recently, I've been playing a lot of my vinyl. So I mean, this is stuff that I have. I have a downstairs area that's basically it's the house basically, and I got my stereo down here. It's what you see in back here. It's it's my bar. It's my I got a great stereo system. So I just chill down here and listen to stuff. And I've been listening to a lot of listen to the Cattle Decapitation a lot. Ollie, bass player for Akurion, gave me the vinyl. Fuck, I've been listening to that.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. I've been listening to a lot of Cult of Luna. I bought the new album when they came around with Intronaut. I bought that record also. I've been stacking up on the albums, how I have them set up, and it's like, okay, this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. So I go through them, one after the other and stuff like that. So I would say I've been focusing on a lot of the records that I have or recently had bought. Other stuff that I've been listening to that I don't own, but I've been listening to is like the new Igor or whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah.
That record's really good. Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah.
I've been digging that. I've been digging the Me and That Man, the new record, Me and That Man with Nurgle from Behemoth. That record's great too. I appreciate that kind of sound. I've seen an interview with him. He was talking about how much he loves like Mark Lanigan, and that was sort of what drew him into that style. Yeah, and that's also I've been following Mark Lanigan since he was with the Screaming Trees. So I'm a huge fan of Mark Lanigan. So obviously I gravitated to the first record. I love it. And then the new record also, it's really good. He's got Isan singing on it. And so I've been listening to a bunch of different shit.
Cool, man.
The new Rustin Man record, actually, it sounds like, kind of sounds like David Bowie. He sounds like David Bowie. And it's very trippy, very, very mellow. And it's really good. I've listened to it like 3 or 4 times. The new Mirkwa record as well. Been listening to that. I love it. I was saying, I have, it's almost like every day is like a fucking Sunday now. So it's like I get up and I pop on, because I just listened to it on the computer. But the new Mirkwa record is, it's just her doing Scandinavian style songs.
Super traditional.
Yeah, traditional Scandinavian tunes. It's fucking amazing. My kids come down when I'm sitting there having a coffee, reading, listening to that, and they totally dig it, So. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's cool. Do your kids start to get into metal because of you yet?
Yeah, I mean, my 16-year-old definitely. She likes some of the older stuff for sure, Slayer, and she.
All right, that's great.
Yeah, she often plays. I'll come up and she's playing Rain and Blood, or she'll play some Opeth. She's got some of that.
It's fucking badass.
Like Slipknot, things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
But she's kind of all over the place too, because she listens to everything from that to Simple Minds.
Right.
For what's that movie called? Breakfast Club. So she's a big fan of that. So she plays that song all the time. She, you know, and then she'll play some like more poppy stuff too, and then put on, you know, the new what the hell is it? The new Opeth or something, you know.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so cool, man. She takes a wide range of it. My 9-year-old, she's kind of cool with anything we play. If I'm playing like some Neil Young or something like that, she likes.
Right.
She likes a lot of the blues stuff. I play a lot of the old Delta, Mississippi Delta blues. So I play a lot of that rugged, nasty kind of blues stuff, and she really gravitates towards that as well. That's interesting. But then of course she has all the pop shit too, you know.
Sure. Yeah, I have 2 sisters the same age, and I always try to get them into cool shit. So that's why I always ask, how do you do it? Because if I try to show them something, it's automatically lame. So I kind of just end up putting it on and just not saying anything about it. And if they ask a question, then I'll go into it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they're around it. They've been around it. You know, they were around it when they were in the womb. I mean, it's, you know, my wife was playing, you know, drums. We were playing music. So, you know, early on, these kids, you know, from the earliest point of their life, you know, they have been around the beat, and they've been around the vibration. They've been around. You know, we were never parents that turn the music down or like, oh, shh, everyone be quiet because the kids are like, fuck that. Like the kids need to accept what's in the environment, you know. And we were very much sticklers in terms of we play loud music, play it, and the kids will sleep through, and they fucking sure as hell did, man. They never woke up.
I love that.
Not to the music or, you know, being loud, having parties or whatever.
Never. They'll be thankful for that later. That's awesome.
I think so. Yeah.
Do they know? Do they realize their father's like the singer of Cryptopsy and like this like badass death metal like warlord type character? Do they?
Yeah, I mean they do. You know, my oldest, I guess, catches on to it a little bit more. You know, she kind of follows it, or I tell her what's going on. She's always like, you know, but my youngest, I do tell. I think, you know, for her, it's just kind of like, oh, you know, you're famous. I'm like, no, well, I'm not famous. I wouldn't go as, you know, we don't need to go as far as famous.
Underground.
But for her, she looks at it as like it's a famous thing or something. But for me, it's, you know, I'm just a regular dude making music, man.
Well, that's what's cool about you. You give off that vibe, man. But it's a total honor to talk to you because I grew up listening to your records and the Lord Worm stuff as well. But Whisper Supremacy I had from an early age. I had the CD and I still crank. I was listening to it this morning to get pumped up for the podcast, and the new stuff's awesome, and everything you do is awesome, man. Who got you into music? Did you have somebody to like kind of take you to a show or buy you a record, or do you remember the first record you bought that got you into this kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, early on, my folks listened to a lot of they were listening to a lot of Motown. They had 45s. They had a record player that would stack them up like I don't know, they could put like, let's say 20 or 30 of them, and then they would just drop down like a jukebox, right? So, I mean, I was always around that sort of feel of having records and getting up and, you know, switching them and, you know, the whole routine of having albums and things like that. So I was accustomed to that at an early age. Music was always in the house, more so when I was younger, I think. I don't know if my folks listened to as much as they used to, but they were definitely listening to a lot back then. I also had a cousin of mine that was a big music lover. She had a shitload of records, and I'd go over to her house, and she'd be like, oh, go ahead, go upstairs and play the records. So I'd go up there and play like, you know, old Aerosmith records, or she was a big Rod Stewart fan, and, you know, all this type of stuff. So I'd go and spend literally hours up there. She go ahead, have fun. And, you know, so I learned that routine from that as well. And, you know, I would say she opened up a lot in terms of, you know, different types of music. I mean, she was, you know, there was a lot of Van Halen and things like that. But you know, certainly I was able to show her stuff like, oh, I'm listening to Motley Crue or something, or I was listening to Ozzy or Black Sabbath, whatever it was at the time, right? But she was always kind of, oh, man, that's cool, you know. So there was that, and she actually brought me to my first show. I'll actually share that with you. It was Huey Lewis and the News. I was like 13 years old. She brought me to my first show. My second show was Iron Maiden. It was during was with Wasted. Which tour was that? I'm drawing a blank on which tour it was. Somewhere in Time. It was the Somewhere in Time tour.
Oh, okay, great record.
Yeah, so that was my second show, and then from there it went to like Deep Purple, and, you know, I got to see a bunch of those bands from back in the day, and then, I mean, now I've seen a fucking billion bands, you know. It's
All
crazy.
of them, yeah. What got you into the underground, more death metal, extreme metal side of things, or?
I think a guy at, you know, I mean, I was already sort of heading there.
Yeah, it's a
You know, a
natural
friend,
progression.
yeah, one of my buddies, his brother had bought, well, I'm trying to think if this was the first time. I had a friend of mine who had a Wasp album and Metallica Ride the Lightning. Okay.
Awesome.
So he's like, dude, listen to this. Like, at first he was like, he hated both records. Now he likes them.
Yeah.
So, but he, you know, I remember this is, I don't know if this was the exact first one, but it was definitely one of the ones where I listened to both bands and I was like, wow, what don't you like about this? Like, this is, you know, this is really good. Yeah, man. And then I had a friend of mine who had, his brother had actually bought, it was Megadeth, Peace Cells. And he had, at the time, he had like a Fisher sound system, was sick. And we'd go over there and we jammed that out, and then the video and stuff like this. So it was, you know, it stemmed from the Iron Maiden type of stuff into, you know, a little bit more aggressive kind of stuff like that. That was definitely something. I had a guy at school who gave me a cassette that he had copied over something else. I forget what the cassette was. And he had copied, it was SOD and might have been Venom at the time. So I remember having both and just knocking the shit out of that fucking, you know, front to back, both sides, constantly listening to that. I think it was Welcome to Hell, actually. Now that I think about it, I think it was Venom, and that was an early introduction into like the, you know, really start getting into the more meat and potatoes of metal, you know. And yeah, I would say those are three that definitely are defining moments. You know, and then going to shows, of course, like we at that point, then we were going to shows. I was 15 years old, getting into 18 plus or 21 plus shows. Back in Boston, they didn't give a shit back in the day. So I get to see everyone. I went to see, you know, Testament, Overkill, King Diamond, Trouble.
Great times, man.
Yeah, I mean, all the big bands that were then. Yeah, all the classics that would come through. Hallows Eve. Nice. You know, you've seen like all sorts of good shit back from back in the day, you know. And I was underage, but I still got into those shows. It was not once did I get turned back.
There you go. That's builds character, man. Yeah, that's how you do it.
Agreed.
It's a shame that it's not like that anymore, you know.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's different. It's a different landscape for sure.
It's
cool. It's a great landscape, but it's different.
The scenes are still really strong. It's really cool, man. It's cool to see. But I always like hearing stories about the older days in that realm. You know, it would be cool to be there. So I appreciate that. But what was it a show or a record or a band or someone you knew that kind of got you to take that leap of, okay, maybe now I want to try to do this music thing myself? You know, you went from being a huge fan to, well, let's start. Did you start singing? Did you pick up a guitar? How'd it go?
No, I've had guitars around me at an early age, and I still to this day play guitar incredibly poorly. Yeah. In fact, I would not say I play guitar.
Mess around.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm just not good. I can play some drums.
Cool.
Drums I came around quicker. That was sort of a, you either have rhythm or you don't.
You can play some sort of metal, you know.
Yeah, that's it, man. You know, like I mean. You know, when I first got on, it was just, really straight rock beats. And it's still, I mean, it's more of a stoner. I play more of a stoner rock kind of thing. Steady beat. Let's keep a steady beat. I can't, I'm not, I can't play very quickly. I can't, that type of stuff. But I can definitely keep a beat and carry through a song. And I can jam, and we can play fucking 20-minute jam and have almost no mess ups per se. So, I mean, that I gravitated towards percussions, things like that. More, I guess, rooty, earthy kind of, grounding kind of instrumentation, I guess. And then vocals, of course, as well. Like, to say there was an actual album that pushed me in that direction. I mean, I can think of things like, and I would say probably like Tom G. Warrior, was a big influence, and John Tidy obviously was a big influence before I started singing. It was, or Max Cavalera as well. I mean, these were probably the big ones that I drew the most inspiration from, I would say, early on. They were the ones that got me up to say, like I can probably do this. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to do it like them, and you're certainly not. You know, it certainly takes some time to cultivate the voice, and work through all the kinks, and figure out your writing issues, and figure your voice. You start out, and where I was before to where I am now is just a completely different voice.
How does that process go for you? How'd you go about discovering your style of growl or scream that you start with? Because for everyone that tries, it's usually embarrassing at first, and you can't talk for like a couple days, and then it's kind of, you repeat that process till you get somewhere.
Yeah, kind of. That's actually a pretty good analogy.
That's what it is.
A lot of it was that, like, we get together. I had like friends that had, they'd have a guitar. One friend had a drum. So okay, let's get together. None of us really knew what we were doing, but we'd set up and just kind of just go. So yeah, did I lose my voice early on? After jams and stuff? Absolutely, for sure. You start to figure out, instead of just singing from your throat, you need to sing from the diaphragm. Everything's got to come, come out. Like, it's not, if you're just sitting there singing and just drawing it from the, from the throat, you're fucked.
Right.
So I did figure that out at some point. I never had a lesson, vocal lesson ever, actually. And did I need some? Maybe it would have helped me. But for me, it didn't. I just figured it out, man. I just whatever started. The voice. Like you said, there is an embarrassing aspect of. Look, there's one thing. If you're a guitar player, you're a drummer, and you're a bass player, you're an instrumentalist, whatever it is, it's perhaps different to be a vocalist, I think, because you really do put yourself out there. Sure, you play, as a musician, yes, you're putting yourself out there. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's a certain type of putting yourself out there that those other instruments don't actually do, and that's you're giving your soul up. You're the front person. You're the one that generally speaking, and people, the eye is on that front person, whoever it is. So. There was definitely, I would say there was definitely times when I was like, okay, well, you're trying to figure out your voice, where your comfort level is, where you finally sort of let loose, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to go with it, And once I'd say once you're able to get to that level of comfort where it's just like, the confidence is there, and you know what you're doing, you know what you're bringing to the table. Once you get to that point is where everything else starts to excel.
Makes sense, as with anything else,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'd imagine you're totally confident in your abilities, because for those who don't know, might not know Cryptopsy, what you did for filling in for Lord Worm, the original vocalist, that could be like you can make the comparison. That's like the death metal equivalent of what Dio did in Sabbath. Like that.
It's pretty awesome, man. Thank you.
Takes some balls, right? So was that, how did you approach that, just mindset wise? Like, were you intimidated? Was it cool? Were you just confident in your abilities? You totally made it your own, no question about that. You didn't try to copy anybody,
No, I definitely didn't. Confidence-wise, I was definitely there. Awesome. Nervous, I wasn't at all. I knew the guys already, so that was a big help too. I could walk in there, and I knew this. I'm a guy that definitely gets prepared before I'm going to do anything. To the best of my ability, I'm going to be prepared. If I'm going to walk into any sort of musical scenario or musical situation, I'm going to do my best to make sure that I walk in there and don't make a fucking fool of myself. Yeah. So the confidence level was definitely there. I knew all those guys. I knew Lord Worm for years before this. And and we're all those guys. I'm great friends with all those guys.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. By the way, I've read your interviews and stuff. You're still real cool with Lord Worm and everybody.
Absolutely. Awesome. Oh yeah. We're definitely very close friends, and he's a fucking hilarious guy, man. He's a great, really good guy. So when I came in, and it wasn't that he was there. Maybe the first day he was there, the first jam, he might have been there. And then after that, he was okay. All right, sort of. There you go. You're all good. And I went in and I had learned, I want to say like 3 songs that I had learned, and I learned them. I was, had them down pat, but to my style, right? Like you said, I wasn't going to go in and take on a style that, it's just not me. I'm not going to take on someone else's style or try to mimic someone. I'm gonna do it my way and hope for the best, But I felt confident. I felt real good about walking in there and having some songs under my belt and already being familiar with the band, and all those things were definitely a plus.
That's awesome, man. That's inspiring. Obviously, it worked out. You crushed it, man. There's
Thank
a
you.
debate that goes on to this day as to who's the better vocalist. I personally just say they're both fucking awesome, and you should just enjoy both. But you
Agreed, man. Agreed. You can't take. I mean, to that's always been one thing. Somebody. Anytime that they would say it to me personally, they would say, "Oh, you know what? Whatever, fuck him, this and that," and I'd be like, "Well, why?
Yeah.
Why would you say fuck him? Like,
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous, man.
Exactly.
Like, those albums are fucking amazing,
Amazing.
And the same thing. Like, if you don't like my style, whatever, that's fine. Like, really, I don't care. You like it, you don't like it, but I mean, it's two different things. I mean, you're talking about two different. You're talking about the same band, but you're talking about apples and oranges. I mean, we both have a very different style. We write differently, but it doesn't mean it's bad or good or whatever. It is what it is. To shit on it or or to love one side of it, not the other side. I just never got that.
Agreed. And obviously, your style continues to evolve. And as you've read my review of the new Akurion record,
amazing review, by the way.
Thank you very much. For those who don't know anything about it, it's a fucking phenomenal record. There's a ton of stuff, man. It's overwhelming. That's why the review I had was so long. It's just because it was like so much to say about it, and I feel like you personally had a lot to say, and just the band had a lot to say. So, how much of your style did you inject into that from the get-go, and how much of it was like brought to you first? And I want to know what those like initial songwriting processes were like. I know Rob came to you with riffs, right? Is that how that went first?
Yeah, he did. He we had we used to work right down the street from one another, so okay. I've been friends with Rob for years, and since that kid was like 17, I think when I met him.
Oh, okay, cool, man.
So, but we hit it off right away. I can tell a good guy from not a good guy, and I knew he was a good dude. So, over the years we'd seen each other, but I don't know. We had come across each other once. We realized that we were working next to each other, so we used to go for lunch, and once a week at least, minimum. We just started talking. He's like, "Look, he's like, I'm out of Neuraxis right now, or it's on hold. Neuraxis is on hold." And I got some riffs. I got some ideas. You want to get together and start fooling around with the riffs? So yeah, fuck, of course. I knew what a brilliant guitar player he was, a writer he was, or is. And I just said, yeah, man, like let's get together. He came out to my house several times. Pretty much the 8 songs. He had riffs based on all 8 songs. Like I think right off the bat he had the ideas in place, and a couple of them, like Year of the Long Pig, he had pretty much the structure down. There was another one. It would have been Pedals. Pedals. He pretty much had that riff structure together. There was, of course, there's some changes along the way, but okay. But in general, he knew where he was going with it. And then of course, once it was the two of us, and we I had some words, and then we figure out some parts of, okay, well, this part here could be where the the chorus is, or we could at least come back around to this, and we just sort of started to build them up like that, just the two of us. And then of course, shortly after. We brought in Ollie, we brought in Tommy, and started to put everything together. Well, we brought in Tommy first, and then Ollie shortly after that. And started putting the songs together. And like I said, a couple of those songs were almost verbatim for the most part. We had definitely conceptualized the songs down to let's put the drums to it, let's put the bass to it. We already have the structure in place, and then the rest of the songs came along where the ideas were already there, and then we did some rearranging, or we added some riffs, et cetera, et cetera. So those songs became a bit more built out from that. But initially, he knew exactly where he was going.
Wow, that's pretty awesome, man. Because there's a lot going on. It's definitely not a traditional album in any sense of the word.
No, and I think a lot of the progressive parts, the more progressive songs are definitely the later songs. Okay. that you'll know, you listen to the album. So, the ones that are more progressive, the ones that are maybe not as straightforward, were the ones that came a little bit after, when it's, everyone's sort of in the mix and we start to put it together and lengthen parts, or add some parts that might not have been there, or, like rearrange some of the riffs and things like that. But, the four of us had a goal in mind, and that was to write songs that we were happy with. That made us feel good about getting together and playing those songs. So it was a different mindset than, you always kind of want to do that. Don't get me wrong. You always want to do that. But then there's a real, something that's like a linear feel of, we're all in this together. We're not writing this with any preconceived notions of what people will think about it, or what expectations could be out there. There was none of that. We didn't have any of that. There was no talk of it, So, nobody knew about it. We just sort of went about our business and wrote the songs, and wrote them for our appeasement, really. And then obviously opened it up and said, hopefully people will dig it after that, But really they were designed in a way that we put these songs together, and everything that's on the songs was exactly how we planned it. It was all by design.
I love hearing that, man. That's beautiful. And do you think that comes from all of you guys just being established musicians and having nothing to prove? You're just kind of doing what you want to do. And was there a level of like even competitiveness between you guys, who?
No, definitely no competitiveness. No, thankfully, no. I don't think the competitiveness aspect to a band works in anyone's favor.
Okay.
It should be. I do believe that the four of us knew. We've all been around the block. We've all been on tour. We've all put out albums, and we've all played with many musicians. All four of us have played with incredible musicians over the years. So to say that we walked into it without having any personal expectations amongst each other, was definitely there. We knew what we were there for, and we knew why we were together. But I would say that we definitely didn't have any concerns about getting together, or worry of if this guy was going to be too competitive, or this guy was going to be trying to take the reins. Or it really worked in a fashion that it was a collective four on a project, and I think that's why this album excels so much, in my opinion.
I think so too, man. It just comes right through. It's just genuine as hell, man. So you guys nailed it, obviously.
Yeah, the genuity of it, for sure. We looking back at it now, and after the album's out, I've listened to the album, and I try to take myself out of the writing process of it and just listen to it as a potential listener. Sure. And I definitely feel the album is a genuine album. It's not a contrived record by any means.
Far from it, man.
Yeah.
And, I know it had for you guys personally, and just the record had kind of a troubled path, to it being released from its conception. So could you talk about that maybe a little bit, and just see how all those things kind of went into the record, fortunately or unfortunately,
Yeah, well, we did. We had a lot of trials and tribulations along the road, and I do think that those trials and tribulations, from the most minute to the ones that were the most had the most magnitude, definitely lended itself to the record for sure, 100%. Some of it, I think, that we didn't know at the time per se. Some of it was, we knew already that it was going to be this. Tommy's in the Army, so he was going to be away at certain times, and Ollie's playing bass for Cryptopsy, so he was going out on tour, and then he joined with Cattle, and then of course, he was he's a fucking busy guy, man. He's got a ton of shit going on. Rob too. He's in other bands. I was in other projects too, but I would say at least on my behalf, it was the lesser of the delays, at least in regards to that. Where my delays was my wife, of course, came down with melanoma, and there was a long process of this. It was almost a 4-year ordeal until she finally succumbed to it. And
I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. So So during the writing process of it, I mean, sure, maybe, you know, I can't say lyrically I was writing in the sense of because we didn't know if she was going to survive or not. So I definitely wasn't writing in terms of any of the songs that were relating to loss in that factor, because we were really trying to keep an optimistic approach, that she would come out of it, you know, and she would beat it. She would, you know, go against the odds and crush this fucking piece of shit disease. Rob too. Rob had his dad. His dad had a long bout with Alzheimer's, and you know, he went from a point where he knew what was going on to a point where he didn't know what was going on. So Rob went through a tremendous amount of difficulty and a long process watching his dad fade away. So you know, there was both sides of the coin. There was just things that we were doing, and then things that came into place that we wanted no part of. But you had to go through it. You had to live it. And I definitely think the record holds a lot of that in its grasp. And I also think a lot of it maybe wasn't so in the forefront. It was really just an underlying piece that just kept that album in a cohesive manner, because there was a lot of things that could have stopped it, and we just kept going and going and going and going. You know, finally here we are, a few days away from its release. So
yeah, looking forward to that, man. Everybody should go check it out for sure. And are you a fan of Nick Cave at all?
I do like Nick Cave. Yeah.
He just had like a conversations tour, so it was like just him and a piano, and he would like ask audience members questions and all that. And one of his or he would allow audience members to ask him questions. So it was like a cool conversation thing. Wow. And he had just lost his son, which is kind of what his last record was about. But he was saying that all the songs on the record were written before his son's passing. And he said that songs and music really kind of have a way of predicting the future, or kind of
that gives me chills like you have no fucking imagine. Oh, dude, I have,
yeah. So I would imagine it was like that, right?
Very much so, absolutely. And you know what? And I'm actually I don't know if happy is the right word, but I'm that contents me to if I could use such a word.
Good, man. Yeah, you can.
But you know what I'm trying to say.
I do, absolutely, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, that appeases me, I guess, if you will, and to hear that somebody else had gone through. I knew he had gone through that, but I didn't realize it to that point. And that's exactly how I feel the record. I think the songs write themselves in that manner.
I mean, absolutely. Especially like Bed Sores to the Bone is like, I mean, that's right there, man. That's
and she had them. She had terrible fucking bed sores.
Wow.
And I cleaned them, dude. I you know, like, not tooting my horn by any means, but you're right. You're in the thick of it, and you know, you do everything for the person you love, right?
Right, man. Well, yeah, you're a warrior, man, and yeah, thank you for all you did for that, and all she did to help with this record. It really is beautiful, man, and it's cool that she's on it. You know, she's on awesome. Roses, and you have that forever, and that's you feel that when you listen to it. So just wanted you to know.
Yeah, it's a massive thing, and you know, she only heard the rough draft of it. She didn't hear the full. All she heard was, you know, because we recorded the album live, so she did hear the live tracks without any overdubs or anything, and that's as far as she got to hear the record. But she did get to hear herself on it.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the one thing that she did get to hear, was herself on the album in a rough well, not pre-prod. It wasn't pre-prod. It was the actual album. It just wasn't done yet.
Right.
And
that's
yeah. And we did that here. We did that downstairs in my house. We recorded it here. Her vocal tracks.
That's awesome, man.
Down with three bottles of sake and just got lit up.
Yeah, man, that's a way to do
it. Was a genuinely amazing moment for sure.
I love hearing that. That makes the song so much richer. It's already one of the better songs on the record. So thank you, man. Yeah, man, for sure. And do you have a favorite song on the record? Is it hard for you to listen to because it's kind of rather heavy? How do you approach that?
Yeah, I do. I do have there's a couple songs that I really, really gravitate towards. They're the front and back songs on the album.
Okay.
So we leave them scars, and
Kingdom Overcome.
yeah, those are the songs that are my personal favorites on the album. I just find that there's just so much happening. I mean, it's really it's journey songs, like you're on a journey when you listen to these tracks. The whole album. I mean, it is, but those in particular, when I hear those tracks, to listen to the album now, I have my moments. I've had moments where I was very emotional listening to it, and I also have had many moments where I can pull myself out of that and just listen to it for the sake of listening to it. I had the guys over. We had a listening session. We've done it a couple times actually. Just have a listening session. Listen to a bunch of shit. And then have some drinks and whatnot, and then we'll sit down and we'll listen to that album and just sort of like, okay, it's done now, so we can listen to it with an open mind. It's not so methodical, like, oh, is this? Can you hear this part? Can you Now we can just like, all right, fuck it, whatever's there, and that's the album. That's it.
Great shit, man.
Yeah, but I definitely don't look at this as an album that puts me in a bad place. It definitely does not put me in a bad place. It puts me in a very comfortable place where I've achievement and fulfillment and perseverance. Those kind of emotions are what I feel when I listen to that record.
That's awesome, man, and that's so cool to hear because it really is beautiful. It really is I think it's the best record of the year so far, and awesome. I definitely wouldn't even just say that because I'm talking to you. I really do believe that it is truly a cool achievement, man. Yeah, cheers, absolutely. I do want to talk about how it was recorded live though, because I think that's so badass, and not enough people do that, and even live records aren't even live. So a lot of people don't realize that. So
yeah.
What was that like, and whose decision was that? Or was that always the case, or how'd that go?
Yeah, it was a theme early on. I know both Rob and I had spoken about it from the beginning, and that's also part of the ease of having Tommy and Ollie in, because they agreed on it as well. They wanted to do an album that was live in the studio. No click track, nothing that was going to take away from the feel of the songs. Not to say that if you have a click track, it takes away from it, but we didn't want that. We just didn't want that robotic sounding album, like a lot of metal albums kind of sound, like
absolutely.
That's what their choice is. Like, believe me, it's not a knock. Like, right. People, that's how people more comfortable writing, playing it riff by riff or word by word, and perhaps we all have done that at some time, or maybe not word for word, but two sentences at a time or something like that. We've all done it, but to actually go in and know that this album was going to be, and how complex these songs are. For us, we busted our ass to make sure.
I bet.
Man, we were in the pocket at some point. We were so in the pocket. It was just, it felt really good. It was like, okay, like now we're there. Now let's fucking record. Yeah. And we set up right in the jam room. That album was recorded in the jam room. We tried as much as we could to separate, and everyone that took time, that was an engineer or whoever mastered it and stuff. It was Gene, who ended up mastering and the record, engineering the record. When there was a lot of shit for her to handle. There was.
I can imagine.
I mean, there was still, even though we isolated shit, you're still not going to isolate everything. Alex Hebert is the one who actually had recorded it. We had him record the actual album, and he did a fucking great job. Like, we're in a small room, and to minimize the bleed over was a very difficult thing. And there's, sure, there was still some there. Then it went into Gene's hands, Gene Strider, and she ended up just mastering this fucking record, man. She really pulled out all the extra sounds that needn't be there, and it was a collective work, in terms of not only us just getting the songs down, but it was also the people behind the scenes that were actually helping to make sure that all the stuff that shouldn't be there wasn't there. They did a really good job with that.
An excellent job, man.
Yeah.
It makes it so much better, just like knowing that in the back of your mind, going through and listening to like all the just the tempo changes and just everything that goes on. That's just crazy. I really can't believe that you pulled that off.
Dude, and we pulled it off. Honestly, we did 2 sessions of it. It was a weekend thing. We did a Saturday, Sunday, and we just went through the songs one after the other, just bang, 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 bang. You know, but we were prepared. I mean, that it's a testament of you know, you've heard. I'm sure you've heard tons of stories where bands go in the studio. They're not even ready. They don't even have songs fucking done. They don't, whatever. There's certain bands who can go in. You know, we know all the, you know, some of the biggest bands. I've heard Morbid Angel's gone into the studio and barely had a song, and they just put it together in the, you know, so, you know, look, there's people who can work under that duress and put out a fucking amazing record. That's awesome. Like, you know, all the power to them. But then, you know, you hear the stories from countless engineers who talk about bands coming in and they're not prepared at all. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, you know? And the songs are just poorly put together, poorly executed. They're not ready. They're, you know, that was definitely not what we were aiming for. You know, we wanted to, before we recorded Note 1, it was that we had the shit in the pocket and we were tight, we were organized, and just well prepared for it. And that's, you know, and we were.
It shows. And you'll be ready to play live if that could ever happen. That would be awesome.
You never know. We'll, you know, the ear's always to the ground.
There might not be any shows for another year anyway, no matter who you are. So.
I just saw that on Metal Injection. They're not talking about
crazy?
large tours till the 2021.
What do you think they're doing, man?
It's a fucking disaster.
It's crazy. I can't. That's the worst part of it.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
Yeah, man. And
especially
we all feel that.
Shows, and I go to a lot of shows too, you know?
Right, me too.
I had a bunch of shows that were canceled already too, so it sucks.
Yeah, I know. It's like our therapy, you know, people don't realize we need this live music.
Damn right, man.
Right. Talk about it's obviously your record's coming out in a couple of days via Redefining Darkness, which is Tommy. He's a great friend of mine. He's been on the podcast. Great label. I'm so glad that worked out for you. Just talk about how that worked out, because he's great, and so just want to play.
Yeah, Tommy's a great guy. You know, we've had I hadn't known him until we started talking before we had signed the deal. You know, Tommy knew had been on tour with Tommy McKinnon and Rob, and maybe Ollie might have been in the project then too. I'm not 100% sure. But I think it had come about where Rob was mentioning that we were close to being done with the record, and was talking to him because they were out on tour with Abigail Williams. I'm pretty sure that's who they were touring with, and he says, "Well, yeah, send me some songs and I'll check it out." And you know, things started moving pretty quickly after that. You know, he and I started talking. You know, talked about, you know, he's asking things like what our expectations were, and I, you know, followed suit, asked him the same thing, and we just, you know, I think we both realized that, you know, he's a highly intelligent kid.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he knows the industry. He's a bright dude, and you know, for me, I want to align myself with someone that I know is going to bust their ass. The guys, you know, I can text him or send him a message at fucking 3 a.m. and he's still up, and he's got another fucking job too. So I know he's working hard. He's not a guy that's just never getting back, you know?
Yeah.
And that means fucking everything to me, because I work hard and the rest of the guys work hard. So if you've got 4 guys or whatever it is in your band, and you guys are the ones who are fucking the driving force and the working hard, and then on the other side of it, you sign with the label who's lazy and doesn't, you know, then what, you know? So I think in you know, the symmetry between the band and Thomas is strong, because we've all got work ethic. We when we say we got to get some shit done, the shit gets done, and that's all I can ask, you know. Now I got to ask him for a double LP.
That was going to be my next question.
That's what we're waiting for. Come on, Tommy.
Come on, man. I'm going to send him a text after this.
Yeah, do so. Absolutely. We're trying. I know his reservations. I know his concerns, and I you know, I jest with this.
Yeah. Oh, I've talked with him.
Do I want this on double vinyl? Fuck yeah, I do.
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
that especially if it could have some of that orange in it from the cover artwork. Come on, and double orange
The
vinyl.
artwork alone on vinyl, that
I
is going
know.
to be absolutely epic. It's going to be
We have,
sick.
we have to make it happen. We're guilt tripping him right now live on the podcast, just so he knows it's gonna make it happen. That's awesome. Well, so we covered the Akurion record. I got to ask you some Cryptopsy questions, man.
Yeah, man.
What do you have a favorite song or a record or just a favorite moment of your work with Cryptopsy?
I mean, touring for sure. That was a huge thing. Going to Japan, playing Japan was a monumental moment for me to actually get there. And the funny thing about Japan was going to Tokyo was something that my wife had said, Genevieve. She had said before. She goes, you're minimizing the possibilities here because you're going to be playing in Japan. She always went back to fucking, you're going to be playing in Japan. I guarantee it. And I was always like, whatever. Look, I'm kind of riding the moment. I'm not looking ahead so much as to say that, we're gonna take over the fucking world or whatever, this kind of thing. But for me, it was always like, okay, like, I see the momentum happening. She was always like, yeah, you're gonna, and sure enough, we get to play in Tokyo. That was a huge bright spot in my career, I would say, just to get out that far out to play a gig.
Imagine.
Yeah, that I would say that, and playing some of those festivals, playing Dynamo Festival was always something when I was younger. I'd see all these bands playing. I'd be like, that must be fucking epic. And
Yeah.
we get to play that, and
And it was epic.
oh fuck, it was unbelievable.
I bet, man.
Like
That's
it was
cool.
just massive to play a gig like that. But I also look at things like if I can come back around to learning the songs and being in the jam room with those guys. Those are proud moments too, because as a musician, you always strive to play with people who will push you to that next level. And being in a room with those guys, they're all exemplary musicians. Like these are elite fucking musicians in any kind of style of music. so to be in the same room with them and to be writing alongside people that are epic writers and epic musicians was always a point in my life where I always sort of looked at it at the present, and I look back at it with nothing but wonderful thoughts about having that opportunity. So it's the little things, the big things. There are many things of being with Cryptopsy that it put me, I was able to put myself on the map with that. It opened up a lot of doors for me, really.
That's so cool that you took you took the opportunities to do all these things after Cryptopsy. You're in several different projects and you're still going, obviously super strong. And do you have a favorite thing you're doing, or do you just kind of just like to keep busy because you're just love it so much?
In terms of music, do I have
Yeah,
a favorite thing?
yeah. Do you have something you're more focused on, like right now? Then.
Well, right now I have, we have I'm in Coma Cluster Void as well. So
Yeah.
that project, talk about elite musicians. Like, I mean, these guys guys and gals are,
Right.
they're next level. This is something new for me too, because we did 2 albums and it's all from the comfort of my home. We've never jammed together. We've never played. In fact, some of the guys I've never even spoken to. Some of the people I've never spoken to, but Gene and Sylvia, we've chatted 2 or 3 times over it's been 5 years or something, 4 years, 5 years. So it's all been those albums, and those are fucking crushing records. Those records have been created solely by being in contact with email and sending tracks back and forth.
Wow.
So that's something new for me. Used to being in the same room and working. It's also new for me to sort of give up the ego, if you will, I guess, to put it in Gene's hands. Gene is the sort of the mastermind behind the project, and so to give over a lot of my not that she generally lets she lets me write what I want and things like that. But sort of the placement is all stuff that we discuss in advance. Usually, all the other projects I place where I want to place. So there has been a dropping of the ego in that regard, which was easy.
That's cool.
I can't say that I've had any difficulty with it, but it's a first for me too, though. That's all I'm trying to say is it's a first. To work in that regard. So, but I've accepted it, and she's such a bright mind when it comes to song structures and the album themes and things like that. That I'm most certainly okay with it. To work in that type of environment. But that's we have a new album that we're going to be starting to work on now. So the third album is going to be out 2021, I would suspect. Yeah, I have that, and then I've got another project that I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a 5-song. Looks like a 5-song EP, maybe 6 songs. Maybe it'll squeak out more than an EP. We'll see. Some brilliant musicians here in Montreal. So one of them, I will say, Patrice Hamlin is going to be playing drums from Borgatz. So pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I could say Lexi Bear as well. So so it's a nice project. It's a cool project, and it's fucking heavy, man.
Nice. I love hearing it.
It's crushing.
I can't wait, man.
So pretty excited about that project. I won't say the name of the running name that we have. It's probably, I think it's the name that it is. It's gonna be. I'm not gonna say it.
I'm stoked, man.
Yeah,
what you do.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And then I've got some other people who have reached out to me that want to do, want to have me involved in some either guest spot on the song or be involved in the project. So there's been a lot of activity that's sort of surrounding this release, I guess.
Yeah, I hope it keeps up, man. I mean, I for one am a huge fan. I'm always looking forward to what you do, man. So I'll keep my eye out and repost stuff and let people know what's good, man. So keep it up. You're crushing it, man. I appreciate you taking the time. Last question. I always ask everyone this. What is your favorite Black Sabbath record?
Ooh, my favorite Black Sabbath record.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's Masters of Reality.
Fantastic choice. Yes. And why would it's I mean, picking your favorite Sabbath album to me that's like picking a favorite child. I mean, they're all amazing in their own right. But what is it about Master of Reality that you dig so much? Is it the tone, the heaviness?
It is the heaviness. I mean, oh my God, it's just fucking,
it's amazing.
It's a nasty sounding record. I love the riffing. I love his voice. The songs are just from start to finish. I mean, I think it's got some of the heaviest stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Atmosphere's heavy too. Thick.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's tough to pick because I like them all, up until a certain point. I like them all.
Yeah.
So, funny enough, I was just listening to Seventh Star, Tony Iommi's Seventh Star.
Oh
just
yeah.
Add time. I popped that in, and it starts off, and it's like I don't know, but as it goes, it's not. I think it's not as. I don't think it's as bad a record as what people had labeled it as before.
I don't think so either.
No, it's not that bad.
No. You just can't compare it to the other shit. That's all.
You can't. No, you can't. I mean, where it ends for me, pretty much. I mean, there's other records I like after that. I like the Dehumanized record there, or Dehumanizer. I like that record, but in between there, there's a
blurry.
Like 4 or 5 that are just I can't listen to.
Yeah, it's just blurry.
After Born Again, I'd say is probably the last record that from the start to Born Again, and then there's a couple of ones in there that are okay after that, but that's generally where it lies.
Master Reality is a fantastic choice. You nailed it, man. So thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you doing this, man. I mean, it means a lot, and you're a fucking killer, dude. Keep it up.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate everything, and keep going with Death Comes Lifting. It's a fucking great thing you're doing there. So.
Oh yeah, man. Let me know. I'd love to send you something.
Awesome. Please do.
Yeah. Let me know, man. I'll hook it up. All good.
Awesome.
Call me. Yeah.
Take it all.
We got it. We got to hook it up, and I'm gonna get Akurion's record out on vinyl. That's my mission.
Nice, dude. Nice. Cheers, brother. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Thank you. Take care. Ciao.